Hello, welcome back to MFWoodShop. Today I'm just going to talk about some things that I've been trying to do to stay busy during this Covid-19 thing. And just frame of reference, I'm going to call it C19. Just a little easier, it flows off the tongue a little better. So I have been pretty much sitting at home for the last 3 weeks, just kind of tinkering around, doing nothing really. I kind of want to get into a big project, but I also kind of don't. Big projects, at least in my shop, can, add up to some money. So I've been kind of taking it easy on the money and, trying to, do what everybody else is doing, just seeing what happens. Luckily, I've been being paid this whole time, so I'm not out of a paycheck as of today anyway. So in that aspect, I'm doing okay as far as funding and everything, but you just don't know what's going to happen in the future. So I've been kind of taking it easy, doing some odds and ends stuff around the house, and I figured you might want to come along and see what I've been doing. The projects are already done at this point. This video is kind of impromptu, so I'm just going to kind of walk you around and show you what I've been doing. First thing I did was I put a new lawnmower blade on my lawnmower. I also tuned it up. I put a new air filter on my lawnmower and a new spark plug. All around, didn't really cost a whole lot, but it was something that nobody wants to do. Nobody seems to have time to do it, and this is the perfect time to do stuff like that. The whole project cost me about 30 bucks, so it's going to be easier in the long run to do it now and pay for it before the summer ends. So I just did that today. Matter of fact, I bought the wrong blade. I had to go to a different place and buy a different one, and I got to return this one, but they're not taking returns right now, so I got to hold on to this for a week or so, and then I'll get my money back. So one other thing I've been doing is preparing for my kayak season. It's about to start here. Probably got another month or so. In late February, I ordered a rudder for the back end of my kayak, and I wanted a way to control that. Most kayaks will control that by foot pedals. You push in one and release the other, and this type of motion. And not that I couldn't do that, it's just I felt like I didn't want to do that in my situation. So I came up with this rudder system, and I think it's going to work. I have not got my rudder yet, so I don't know for sure, but I did a little mock-up. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen that. So basically these brake line cables will wrap around this pulley in one of each direction, and it will do one of these actions. It'll just rotate one way or the other and causing the rudder to move one way or the other. I didn't shoot any video on that other than test videos, stuff like that I put on Instagram, but that worked out pretty good. I think that's gonna work. So on my kayak, I had to figure out a way to mount the rudder when it does come in. I had this little divot right here in the back of my kayak. I 3D printed a part to hold this bracket, and I screwed the bracket to the 100% infill of this bracket and pop riveted it down here into the frame. And this bracket is held in with waterproof JB weld, and surprisingly enough, that is really strong, and much stronger than what a rudder even needs. So right now I just got this hanging in there because it's still going to be a month before I see my rudder, and I'm hoping to use this kayak even before I get the rudder in. So that's one thing I did. I also pop riveted the corners through the body and everything, so I'd get a strong connection, and it seems to be holding quite well. So towards the end of last year, I started making these paver blocks, and the idea was the lawnmower can run on this side and straddle the gap to mow, and I would never have to trim it again. A, it works out awesome, but B, it's a pain in the butt to install. I know it don't look hard to actually do, but I got clay ground, and in my ground it's tough to dig in. So that's the only section I'm going to be doing. As far as money goes, this is the most expensive project I did. I put new gutters on my barn. Total project was about $140, but it was well worth it, I think. It's been 13 years since I built this barn, and I've painted it once. And the main reason I wanted the gutters is, I don't know how well you can see it because of the light, but down at the bottom of the barn, you can see the wood kind of rotting away. It's not completely gone. It can be cleaned at this point. But what was happening is the water was coming right off the roof, hitting the ground, and mud would splash up against the barn and locking the water into the wood, basically. So, and that's the main reason you buy gutters, right? So you prevent that from happening. So one other main project that I've done in the last few weeks is cleaned out and reorganized my barn. I did a small little video, more or less an overview of what I did. I didn't show you step by step, but there's some funny narrations on that. A buddy of mine did that, and he just making fun of me, basically, is what it is. But I got lumber storage on the back. I got my tools and ladders over here. I got basically, I'm going to call gaming area on this side. So it has my bikes and my cornhole and my fishing, stuff like that. It's all over there. So this is the biggest project I took over. This all took about 2 days, and I really just took my time. I just cranked up the radio and just kind of played with it, more or less, and came up with a plan on SketchUp to lay out the lumber rack and the storage, and it worked out all real well. Total cost on this was about $40, $50 maybe. The clips I used over here to hang some of the tools was real cheap. I think they were $10, and the rest of it is just 2x4 and the cheapest plywood I could find. I think I used 10 2x4s and 1 sheet of crappy plywood. So I'm not going to go up on the roof at this time, but basically I inspected the roof myself, and I've noticed some things up there that I wanted to address. And what I really found out is a lot of that was done by hail damage. So now I'm in the process of doing the insurance claim and getting the hail damage taken care of, and it looks like they're going to be paying for that. So shortly I may have a new roof. My kid's a newer car. I used the stimulus check to buy this, basically. So it's bought, paid for, and done. Needs a little bit of work, mostly cosmetic stuff, but there is a tie rod that I have to replace, but no big deal. Other than that, it drives really good. It should be pretty decent on gas. It is an 03 PT Cruiser, so I'm aware of the suspension problems that I'll have with the Chrysler, and I'm aware of the overall Chrysler brand name. I'm not a big Chrysler person, but the price was right. I paid $800 for it, and it's just a kid's first car, so that's what I did with that. Came home, put some new wiper blades on it, cleaned it up a little bit. Overall, the interior is nice, and it should be a good car for them. On my bandsaw table, a few years ago I put in my own bandsaw table, and it does work really, really well. And as far as picking up dust, this is the old table that I used to use, and it still works well, and I still like it. I still feel that it's a good design. The one downside, and I ran into this on one of my last projects, is that table sits up another 1.5 to 2 inches, and it eliminates some of the cut capacity that I can have with this bandsaw. And it really isn't that big of a deal for me because I don't do that much resawing. But on one of my last projects, I had to resaw, and it became an issue. So I went back to this, resawed what I needed to do, and I haven't decided if I'm going to put that old table back on, because if I ever need to resaw that again, I don't want to switch out the tables again because they're kind of a pain in the butt to get all set up and squared and everything. So for now, I'm going to leave it like that. Something also I found out is with my drum sander and my planer all on the same cart, the drum sander is a little higher than the planer, which is nice. I can do up to about 3 inches worth of material before the planer is actually in the way. And so far that hasn't become an issue. But what I did accidentally find out is I had a piece of, actually I think this piece of plywood sitting on top of here for whatever reason, probably just to get it out of my way. But I was sanding stuff and it just fell on the table, sanding stuff, and it fell on the table. And I found out I really liked that feature. So I actually just created this board permanently. I drilled out some Forstner holes and they just drop down into that post and kind of lock in and stay permanently. And this has actually been working out really well. I've used it several times. I'll plane a bunch of boards like this, or sand a bunch of boards like this, and they'll just drop down and fall right there. And you know, I can run 6 or 7 of them before I have to actually move the whole stack away. So that's been kind of nice. So something happened to me in the beginning of January. My little brad nailer took a crap, and I played with it and I tried to fix it, and I tried to order the parts to fix it, and you know, I just couldn't find the parts at a reasonable price. What I found is a rebuild kit for about $58 plus shipping, so it'd have been about $65 to buy all the rebuild stuff to fix this gun. I bought this gun on sale, which is nearly the same model. I bought it on sale and 11% rebate for $99. So brand new gun. This one only does staples though. This one does staples and brads. It's kind of a, you know, a toss up if that was a good deal or not. Mainly I use staples if I'm going to use this gun. I've never shot brads through this gun, but it was nice to have that feature if I wanted it. So you may notice 2 compressor bodies down there at the bottom. Immediately after I bought the pneumatic stapler to replace my old one, it sat for about a week before I used it. I brought it out to use it, and then my old compressor took a crap at the same time. And that's the one on the right. The one on the right is only a tank at this point, just to have a little bit more air storage, I guess. It has a gauge where the airline is hooked into, and that sets how much air pressure. And the other gauge is how much the tank is holding, and it's also hooked to the new compressor, and it also has all its gauges and stuff. So if I'd known that my compressor was going to go out at the same time my stapler was, I would have bought a battery operated one, because the battery operated one was about $200, and I bought the stapler and the compressor for about $200. So oh well. I bought this from April Wilkerson. She's been cutting these out on her CNC machine and really kind of mass producing these things, and I think this is coming in handy. Can't tell you how many times I've had to think about you know, what is 1.2 or 0.125? Is that 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch or whatever? You know, can't think how many times I've had to refer to a chart like this. And this one works out really good. It's nice and bright and easy to read. And she even signed it. Okay, this one didn't even cost any money. I just took a strong afternoon and cleaned my table saw surface. And, you know, I cleaned it really good with some WD-40, put some paste wax on there after I was done, and you know, things are really moving good and nice and even. I even took the time to straighten up my blades and confirm that they were right and square my fence, and that's don't even cost anything. It just took, you know, a little bit of time that before I may not have had. I did splurge a little and bought a new blade. I haven't even used it yet, but that's what I've been doing as far as that goes. Overall shop has been kind of cleaned up and well, stuff put away. With these little projects, you find little scraps of projects all over your shop, and you know, you got to kind of stay on top of that. So I just kind of took an afternoon and cranked up the radio real loud and just kind of cleaned up a little bit. It's still messy for me, quite honestly, but it's not too bad. So really, that's all I got for you. Just trying to stay busy, trying to stay active. I've been trying to stay away from the TV as much as possible, and of course trying to stay away from the snack foods and the, you know, the lunch. Before, you know, all I did was eat supper. You know, once in a while I'll grab a breakfast burrito, but you know, for the most part, all I did is eat supper, and that was my day. Now I'm eating breakfast, lunch, dinner, and you know, snacks. You know, if I'm not doing something, it seems like I want to eat, and I'm trying to stay away from that. So I'm trying to stay busy as much as possible during this time. So I hope everybody out there is being safe during this C-19 pandemic, whatever you want to call it. And you know, just do your part a little bit, stay home as much as possible, and you know, get out there and do something. It don't really matter what you do at this time. If you can just stay active and try to stay busy, that's going to be half your battle, staying at home. At least it's worked for me so far. I'm about ready to go back to work, maybe in about a week and a half. So hopefully everything gets all cleared by then, and I'll be back at work doing my normal routine, and maybe getting out in the shop a little bit more for woodworking. So that's all I got for you. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you next time.